Okay, awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Gina Bella, head coach at Penn State Behrend Water Polo. And today I'm going to talk about defensive strategy and how to evaluate your team's strengths and weaknesses. Let me see if I can pull up this PowerPoint here. Are you able to see that? Are you guys able to see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, so defensive strategies. I want to kind of talk about first the key components. This is kind of what I look for when I'm recruiting. Mainly, the biggest thing I look for in my recruits is keeping your head up, and that means, if your face is in the water, if you're swimming with your head down, you're not going to know what's going on in the game. So I really look for that head up plays, offense and defensively, mainly on defense. With our heads up, that kind of leads into helping our teammates, communicating, and just you're not defending everybody, or you're defending everybody, not just your one person. That's the biggest kind of complication I see from high school to college is that, they're so focused on their one defender, their one person they're guarding, but you're not just guarding one person, you're guarding everybody. Water polo is a team sport. So we really emphasize you're playing with your head up, you're countering with your head up, you're defensive countering with your head up. My biggest thing is work smarter, not harder. So once your head is up, you're able to communicate, you're able to talk to your teammates, you're able to control that defense a little bit better from each player's individual point of view. The players, you're never going to win that battle with a ref. So the only time you'll hear me say is put your head down and swim is when, an official makes a bad call or, it's just not a good call from the officiating side of it. So I would say, hey, put your head down and swim. That's the only time you'll hear me say, put your head down. But your head should always be up. When you look at high level games, you can watch the counterattacks defensively and offensively. They're backstroking on their back. They're looking where that ball is going. Once that ball is passed, they can kind of, look where that ball is going, either the right side or the left side, and, distribute their defense from there. But the four main key components I look for is number one, keeping your head up, two, helping your teammates, three, you're defending everyone, not just the person you're guarding one-on-one, and four, communication. That goes mainly into my goalkeeper and my center defender, which I'll get into a little bit later on in the slideshow. That goes into calling for switches and really helping out your center. Your center should not be going 2-2, and most teams will strategize offensively to bring, that center 2-2. So you're really helping out your center and not letting him go into set D or her. All right. Types of defense. Okay, we should all kind of know the basic defenses we're running. We have the full zone, the M drop, the 4-5 rocker, 4-5 drop, 1-2 drop, full press, and 2-3-4. I really like to prepare my team to run every type of defense. Full zone is when all defenders are zoning onto the set. We really run that when we're playing as a drive heavy team, playing against a center strong team. M drop, same thing when they're running a drive heavy team or a heavy center team. We start in a zone for my teams. We start in a zone, and I like to kind of mix and match. So, you can kind of mix and match, use a 2-3-4, 7 seconds, utilize that full zone to get into a counter attack. So my biggest thing is having my team prepare for every type of defense and really giving that creative freedom of, what is the offense doing and how can we switch that in? I like to use the metaphor of you have all these tools, put them in your toolbox, and you need to figure out on your own when to use them. My defensive coordinators are my goalies and my center defenders. So I really train my centers and our center defenders and my goalies to read the offense that they're running and coordinate from there. You're always going to need help. You're always going to need help at set D. So that's kind of just their call to make for every situation. And really reading that play, if you prepare your team to kind of go through all the defenses, that's when you can kind of have them call out what they need at that point. Biggest thing with your center defenders is that they need to be talking on defense. They need to not be the, we get caught up in these, we're locking up and I can take him, I can take her, but utilize your help, work smarter, not harder. And we really want to funnel that ball to where we want it to be placed. Your goalie comes into play by, where is your best shot blocking coming from? Is it from the 4-5? Is you're covering the 4-5 shots? And that's where we really want to run our defense compared to where a goalie is best at blocking. My men's team, my goalie is great at blocking the 4-5 shots. So we run a 4-5 zone. We really funnel that ball to the 5, and we really place our body placements for our center is really important for this. So don't be afraid to match these and kind of switch them up. I think being versatile in all these types of defenses will really help your team get to the next level of just playing, on the fly. I always say, hey, my thing is I want to sit on the sideline, not say anything. I don't want to call out anything. I don't want to call out any defenses. You guys should just be able to read the plays and go from there. So overly preparing, I think, is really important, and teach them every type of defense to run, and really training your center defenders to call out those defenses. One thing I like to incorporate with my team is wrestling. I'm a big wrestler. I wrestled for 18 years of my life. So, we get with our Penn State wrestling team, the guys just run through and leverage practice. And that really relates to the water of the push and pull, reading the body of your opponents, and just kind of, keeping your hips up. I think it relates directly to water polo. We also look at boxing. We do a lot of boxing practice where I'll hold mitts for both my teams. And biggest thing that helps with the pressing. So go watch Mike Tyson's biggest knockouts. You'll see that he really squares up his opponent's shoulders, and that's when he gets the knockout punch. So we teach them push the shoulder. Once they open up your shoulder square to you, you can get the knockout. So that really helps with pressing. The biggest thing I emphasize on the press is elbow first. So you have 3 main parts in your body that you can hit an offensive player, which is shoulder, elbow, or ball. And I always tell my players, hey, hit anything that bends. So wrist bends, your elbow bends, your shoulder bends as well. So those are the 3 main points we look at for running a full press. So get creative what you're putting into your athletes and what you're putting into your teams. We can only do so much in the water, but I think it really relates outside of the water of implementing different sports. Everything relates to water polo. And I think wrestling and boxing is really where my team took off defensively. So we went through the types of defenses. Center defense, and biggest thing is talk to your defense. You're the biggest communicator on the pool. The goalie should not be talking at all during defense except for slide left, slide right. Your center defender is going to be your defensive coordinator. He or she's going to say, hey, I need a 4-5 drop, or hey, I need a 1-2-3, or hey, I need a 2-3-4. They're really controlling your defense. In reality, you should be having your best defender against their best center player, whether they're on the outside driving in, or whether we're switching on a mismatch. You should always be having your best defender guard their best offensive player. And biggest thing is that, call for help before you need it. Wrestling really relates into that. They can feel the leverage of them about to get turned. They can feel the leverage of them about to lose position in the pool. So really, call for help before you need it. They can feel that in the water, and I really emphasize that in practice. And we'll go over a few tips towards the end of it on how to help your center defenders learn when to get turned. Hips should always be up. Centers, I'm a center player. I know when my defenders' hips are dropping, if your hips are up, it's going to be a very hard shot for a center to play, and center to shoot and score. And using your opponent's momentum against them, kind of going back into that wrestling aspect of it, use their momentum, push their back. Once the ball comes in, hands go up, let the drop come in. So really just kind of getting your center defender and your goalie on the same chemistry level to communicate what they need at that point. Now, with the new rules in place, and this is the first year we used it in college, where that new 2-meter line rule comes into place, that's where you can really utilize your goalie to help in that center positioning. The 1 and the 5 can come all the way down to the lane line now. So now you have a wide open center. If we're fronting, ball can come in. So sometimes we bait that, it all depends on, your center defender's positioning and working with that goalie to come out and steal that ball. So if the ball comes into set from the 1 or 5, utilize your goalie to come out and steal that ball. Say, hey, center defender, put your hands up as soon as that ball comes in, put your hands up, let the goalie take it. So when you're working with a shallow end cage, that's where we utilize this kind of skill level the most, is when we're working a shallow deep end pool. Okay, let's go to the next. 5-on-6 man down. So this one's a new interesting one because with the new rules, and it was kind of not such a big adjustment this year with the new rule, because I think everyone's still kind of learning what's going on with that new 2-meter rule and how to utilize it. But, my biggest emphasis is always cover your post players. which is, those three players in front of the goal. They're going to be your biggest shooters. This year, my team switched into kind of a house defense where we had, two players in the cage shot blocking. We had their two up top players coming back to cover those post players and the person in the middle covering, in between as well. So we really played a house defense there to protect with that new team eater rule. Next year, I see a lot of teams using that and utilizing that a little bit more so. So just adjusting to the new rules and going on from that. We have to watch the shift. We all know 6 in, we all know 1 in. And usually when we do those shifts, one of the posts are popping up. So the biggest thing is to communicate, those post defenders communicating, hey, he or she is coming up. They're shifting up. So really communicating your skills and communicating to your players, who's shifting up, who's coming out to cover those outside popping players. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. Evaluating your team, individual strengths and individual weaknesses. So we are a water polo team, but we're getting new players every year, new players every day. We're getting stronger and better every week. Typically, that's the goal. What you look at is what skill sets are your players bringing in that you can help grow. My biggest thing is, hey, if someone shoots a certain way that is not typical for water polo, we're going to make that better. I have a lot of players that come in and shoot that weird side skip shot, and not all the coaches like it. We have players that come in and shoot backhands, and not all the coaches like that. But I look at growing their individual strengths and adding it to the team. Where can you see these skills fitting into both offensively and defensively? So every year is going to be different of the players you bring in. So it's really just taking the time, evaluating them during practice, during games, and writing down a list of each one. You're very good at shooting from the 4-5 side. You're very good at, shooting from the 1-2 side, but also writing back constructive criticism. I have one player on my team who can only do assists. But if he could shoot from the 4-5 side, and that's what we work on, is just having shooting from the 4-5 side, catch and shoot. Individual weaknesses is just kind of, as a coach evaluating, hey, this is what you need to work on. I think the best answer for you to give as a coach for feedback is, hey, you're not there yet. It's, hey, you're not there because of A, B, and C. But this is what you can do A, B, and C to improve yourself. So, you can kind of tell when a player jumps in the pool, where they're at skill-wise. They need passing, they need shooting, they need legs, they need, to gain more muscle. And I would say the best thing to do is just write it down for the player. Write it down, say, hey, you need this, this, and this to be where you need to be at to be on this team. Do we have any questions so far? Nope, no questions. Okay, so I just kind of want to share a little clip from you of just kind of what my team did this year, putting everything together. This is our MPSF championship game against Austin College. And we had a very young team this year from my men's side. And this is kind of some of the stuff that we've been looking at and working on all year. And we're the white caps playing defense right now against the dark caps, Austin College. So this is after a timeout play. The score is 7-7. I just want to kind of show you how a good defensive reading and players heads up convert into, great water polo to offense. Okay. You guys able to see this? We're good. It's playing.
We can still only see the slideshow.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Sorry, I'm really bad at this. Oh, here we go. Is it good now?
Yes, now we can see
Okay. So we're tied 7-7, the last minute and 20 seconds of the game, to get to the championship final against Austin College. Like I said, we're the white cap team, and we're just kind of looking to defend here. Coach called a timeout on the other team, so this is their timeout play. But I just wanted you to focus on defensively of my players' heads and their faces and what they're looking at. So right here, right, we have a drive happening between number 2 is covering that player. Both my players in that 4-5 that are looking and watching, but notice that their faces are head up. They're not just focused on their player defending. They're very head up looking. We have a drive coming here, and our number 5 and our number 18 are communicating, talking, they're looking at each other. And ultimately, we create that switch going on here. Okay, but I want you to look at number 5 guarding center. Look at his face and where he's looking at. He knows where the ball is at. Okay, the ball is at the 3, but he knows where that ball is going to be going. So it's going from the 3 to the 4. He's already in position to cover center, to cover that pass. They're trying to get the ball into set. They took out one of just kind of a player to hold that position, to bring in their real center to create a mismatch. But he already knew that ball was going to get passed because he had his head up. The team realized that they can't get that ball into set. We targeted number 8 to shoot the ball. We wanted number 8 to shoot the ball. And that's where we really went to funnel that shot from. He's out at almost 8 meters, half the tank. And that's where we really targeted that defensively to have him shoot the ball. Create the steal. Notice the offensive player's head was underwater trying to make that pass into set. Didn't even know where his center was at. We had him fronted. But look at number 5 still, right? He's in a good position to counter. So a good defense can create that counter attack for you. Pushes off his player, takes off. We'll kind of finish up. This is one of my favorite plays that we've done. Right into a counter. So that's kind of where your defense, where your head up, and it all starts from the fundamentals of where your head up. How do I stop this? Where your head up plays can come from, and that's the biggest thing that I want you should emphasize to your teams is keep your head up. So many plays and opportunities are lost because our heads are underwater and we're focusing on breathing, we're focusing on swimming, but really keep your head up. And I kind of want to share this drill. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with it. I call it the Spanish counter drill. And I have a little whiteboard here where typically we start with 7-on-7, goalie included. And it's kind of just, working the counters, but it really teaches your team to keep their head up on the plays. How do I show this? Okay. Whiteboard. Maybe my whiteboard's not working. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I kind of, you guys able to see this? Okay. So yeah, Spanish counter drill, right? We have, we'll start off with one person going on a 1 and nobody. As soon as that person shoots the ball, we have 2 offensive players going, taking off on a 2-on-1 counter. And then we kind of build up from there. So it becomes a 3-on-2, 5-on-4, and we scale up from there until it becomes a 6-on-6 scrimmage. But this is a good swim workout for your team. This is a good head up drill for your team to kind of learn this, fast movement, setting up a game plan play where we're scaling up to a 6-on-6, and then we're scaling back down from a 6-on-6 to a 6-on-5. Once they score, that player comes out of the play. So it scales back down to a 1-on-nobody eventually. But this is a very good drill you guys can utilize in practice to kind of scale up, build that head up, and then scale back down, build that head up, coming back down from a 5-on-6, 6-on-5, etc. Do we have any questions so far? Okay, well, that's kind of, I just want to open up for questions now, what you guys have, and if anything I didn't cover for you guys. But any questions or comments or, how is it going with your teams, or, where are we at, where are we coaching at, and what levels are we coaching at?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I coach a women's club team in California here, San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm curious how you handle some of the teams in our league that we see will have a strong player that's explosive, not necessarily their 2-meter player. They tend to play them on the perimeter, usually on the right-hander side, and move. They move her around, but we can't handle her. There 2 teams have that same situation. We can't handle them 1-on-1. I quite honestly, I'm not a big fan of zones, and because my experiences is people like that can exploit it even worse. So I'm wondering, without just flat out dedicating two people to them, which again, I loathe to do,
Mhm.
but do you have things that you do to slow up people that, are those kinds of players? I mean, they're both clearly the engine of the team,
Mhm.
but they don't generally go into 2 meters, and they're smart. They're
Yeah.
smart players. They
Yeah.
both have played years of Division I water polo,
Mhm.
and then now we're playing club. And so
Yeah.
I'm just curious if you have some magic tricks for me.
Yeah, of course. Typically with the better, we have that everywhere. We play against Stanford for my men's team. We play
Yeah.
against Division I teams. We have those players that we just gotta, stop. Typically my game plan for those types of players is, drive them through an offense, get them on ejections. She's gonna be smarter, but the closer you play to her, you turn her, get on your back, and drive her through on offense and just switch up. Don't
Yeah.
dedicate one person, but rotate your players who are guarding her so they're always fresh guarding that person on your team. And I would say drive her, get her nice and tired, drive her through every single time. And I wouldn't run a hard press on her because that's what she's looking for is to, turn
Yeah.
your players offensively. I just, touch, get your players into that leverage learning. Honestly, do you have a wrestling team on you? But if they
We
really
do,
learn,
but yeah, we just don't get resources. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But that's the biggest thing is like learning that leverage momentum of,
yeah,
she wants you to hold them nice and close, hold her nice and close so she can turn them. Play that, tap, 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 but
yeah,
still cover, tap, play off of her. Don't get too close. And then when you're taking her to offense, when she's playing defense, drive her every time. Put a fresh new player. We don't need to dedicate two players to her. I think maybe pick three players in your team that could rotate guarding her.
yeah. Okay. Do you focus on them to, someone like that? Like, I understand. I know you're in you play the Stanfords. I mean, they,
Mhm.
essentially can throw,
Yeah.
18 different guys that are strong at you
Yeah.
at any one time. So, but I'm talking about, so someone that, this person's clearly the player of the other team, so
Yeah.
it's not like you're, so I mean, if we can stop her, but do you like to crash onto him, or do you play a whatever,
Yeah.
a
So she's not
short
going to,
zone in
yeah, she's
between
not
some?
going to center. So I'd say, you really got to cover her drive. Is she shooting mainly from the outside or is she,
She does everything but go into 2 meters. Yeah, I mean, they're both very good. One of them's, a Hungarian that will be trying out for their Olympic team. So,
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
they
So,
they have ball handling skills, or they're very good. We when we've played them, that we played them both last weekend, and we did okay with it. We ended up winning both games, but
congrats.
it just concerns me. And what I was doing was just a situational, crash essentially. I mean, it just whoever was around just
Yeah.
attacked her and made somebody else. But they'll figure that out next
Yeah.
time we see them.
Yeah.
Like they'll
Because
start.
she usually plays on the right, the strong, the 1-2 side,
The
right-handed
one
shooter.
team
Yeah.
always was on either 1, 2, or 3 essentially.
hmm And what you
That's
can
what.
all yeah, and what you can also do is, funnel that ball, like play the defense where you're zoning off the 4-5 side. So it tricks her team into passing it to that open side and really prepare
Yeah,
the goalie to take those 4-5 shots. You just send a defender, hey, let's set it up to where she's on the 1-2 side. Okay, we're gonna funnel that, make them pass that ball to the 4-5 side. So run a really heavy press on the 1-2 side, and really zone off the 3-4-5. So it baits her other teammates to hey, someone's wide open. Why are we passing the ball to someone who's guarded? So run a press on that 1-2 side, drop 3-4-5, and really bait, the other shooters to shoot. As they pass the ball from 3 to 4, 4 to 5, have your 3 press a little bit more so and just run a 4-5 drop from there. Have your center defender take away that 1-2 side completely. But you got to bait. It's not tricking the smart player. It's tricking
right.
the team that the rest of her teammates into. That's the
Yeah,
safer option. That's a better option. Let's not give it to her. Let's give it to the 3-4-5 because that's an easier pass to make.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Does
Yeah,
that help a little
thanks.
bit?
I just dialoguing about it. It helps me no matter what. So
Yeah. Yeah. I would say
then I need to
try out.
experiment with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Try
Yeah,
baiting that 3-4-5 passes, press that 1-2 side.
Yeah.
give them a really just do a deep zone, tell your center defender cover the 1-2 side, really bait that ball into being passed to whatever side she's not on the pool. And
Not on.
that's tricking, the teammates that are not as high
Yeah.
level as she is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
question. Any other questions we have?
You do you have any suggestions for teams that, like a lot of our teams, the year starts off, they don't have a lot of time to practice. So if you were to say first thing you should do defense, what would like your first suggestion be if you don't have a lot of time to practice and figure out what your strengths are?
A lot of time to practice. And that's kind of, I take a water polo ball or a tennis ball, and I tell my players, hey, take this ball home, bounce it on the wall, film yourself, how's your skills. And that's a fundamental skill that everyone needs, is great passing. A lot of the high level coaches they just want to see a film of someone passing the entire practice, because that's going to feed into what they want to coach. So I'd say, film the fundamental skills, send it to your coach, say, hey, is my shoulder upright? Is my, shooting position upright? Not a lot of practice time, get the cardio in, come in shape, and your coach can shape you from there. I always tell my men's team that has the whole summer off, hey, come in shape. We can work the water polo stuff as soon as you guys are in shape, but biggest thing is coming in shape. Skill wise, it's going to be ball handling. Can you hold the ball up in a right position, a shooting position? Can you make a good pass? Are you following through on your wrist? Another good thing is I always look at, are your shoulders square? Are your shoulders sideways? What are you doing? Once you pass that ball off the wall, you bounce it back, you should be back into that shooting position where your shoulders are sideways. So really look at those fundamental skills of passing that ball, use the ball, use a tennis ball, anything you can use, a ball, basketball, volleyball, whatever you have, and send it to your coach, have them send it to you so you can evaluate, hey, you're passing like this, or hey, you're passing like that. You want them to be form technique of passing that ball off the wall. So I'd say take a ball, bounce it off the wall, go back into your form, pass it again. That's really going to get your shooting and your passing really on point. Any other questions we have? All right, well, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, send me an email. It's Gina Bella at psu.edu. I'm happy to answer them. And thank you for joining.